All right, I guess we're live. Finally, it's happened. That's right. Tonight, the Geek Dad Report is 100% live and in real time. So welcome. I think. Hello? Anybody out there? Whatever. Anyway, welcome everybody. Like I said, to episode 157 of the Geek Dad Report, the one show dedicated, formulated, specially created, and to bring you guys all the nerd news you need to know, all while putting a smile on your pretty little faces. I'm Brian West, the hostess with the absolute mostest, but you already knew that. And as you can see, I'm all alone tonight. My wonderful co-host, Ryan Tomlinson, is not here. He is currently in Pittsburgh, hanging out, doing something, I think, work-related. It's quite possible he just decided to go there and, stalk his hero, Ben Roethlisberger. Right now, he's probably sitting in the bushes, right outside his window, looking in, like, hey, Big Ben, let me in there. The turkey looks good. I want to eat it. Anyway, so I don't know what Ryan's doing. Maybe he'll hop on tonight and let us know what he's up to, but whatever. His loss. Right. But we had a busy week this week. And I know last week we said that we weren't going to do a show. We're going to take a couple weeks off for Thanksgiving, but there was some monumental news that happened this week. And we had a huge passing. And I figured, you know what? I cannot go an entire week without talking about Stan Lee and about what he meant to all of us. And so I figured, what better way to do that than to go live, let all you guys who have been asking and gals who've been asking me to do a live show, figure this would be a good time. You guys could reach out and we could just talk about Stan Lee and talk about everything else. So you've demanded it. I'm here to finally do it. And if none of you guys hop on, then I guess you can just watch this later. I have a lot of other news besides we'll be talking about Stan Lee and some other things. But I do hope you guys hop on because when you do this by yourself, it gets real lonely. Oh, hi, honey. My wife just hopped on. Hello, Holly. Thanks for joining me. I think you're my first viewer. The best viewer, the most important viewer. Anyway, but yeah. So like I said, we're going to be alive all night tonight. If you guys hop on while I'm recording this, feel free to ask any questions. I'm going to have a whole open Q&A. If anybody's on, you guys can ask any questions you want. Anything is fair game. I will answer anything. And if you guys have some comments or questions while I'm doing the news, I'll try and hop on, or I'll try and read them and answer your questions. But to be honest, since I'm by myself, it's kind of hard sometimes to read the news and read comments. So if you say something or try to get my attention and I don't see it, I apologize in advance, but I will do the best that I can. So maybe if you have a real important question, you just do it all caps or put a star or a smiley face. Just something to flag my attention if it's very important. If not, just sit back, enjoy the show, and we'll go from there. If you are one of our YouTube listeners / watchers, fear not. I'm going to post this on YouTube later tonight. If you don't want to watch it on Facebook, I totally understand. It will be up on YouTube later. But obviously, this is Facebook Live. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's not going to be live. So feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. But I'll get to it when I get to it. But anyway, let's see. We got our first question tonight before I get to the news. Holly wants to know, why does a Funko Pop of She-Ra cost $499, and why is that worth it? Well, a little backstory. Her birthday is coming up, and I wanted to find her a cool present. So I'm looking at Amazon, looking at Funkos, and she loves She-Ra. The new She-Ra show is coming out soon. So I thought, it'd be pretty cool. I'll get her a little She-Ra Funko. If you don't know what a Funko is, there you go. There's a Funko. If you don't know what a Funko is, right there. It's cool little Funko Pops. And unfortunately, sometimes they have collector editions and ones you can only get at Comic-Cons and stuff. And so if you have one of those, you can sell it for a lot of money, which is what I'm guessing why the She-Ra Funko is $499. It's actually pretty funny. When I first saw it, I thought it was only $4.99 or $49.99, which is still a lot. But I was like, for She-Ra Pop, maybe. But then I look and it was $499. So I'm really glad I didn't hit buy now. So anyway, there you go. Hope I answered your questions. Question walls. Anyway, all right. So as you guys hop on, if you do, I will give you a shout out. I will say hi and feel free to say something. We'll talk. Like I said, it's 100% live. People have been asking us for months if we do a live show, and here we are, 100% live. And if you guys like this, I may be able to con Ryan into doing a few of these from time to time. So if you're new to the show, I know a lot of you are on our Facebook page, but don't necessarily watch the show. I'm sorry that I forced my way onto your phone. But yeah, this is the show we normally do. I mean, in addition to all the things we do on our Facebook page, talking about news and sharing things and just kind of having a fun geek community. We also do a weekly geek show, if you didn't know. So usually it's me and, like I said earlier, my co-host Ryan. We sit and we just talk about being dads, about being old, and just about the things we like, honestly. We usually ramble on for about an hour. And so that's what I'm going to do today. So if this is your very first time ever seeing the Geek Dad Report because I crammed it by hitting live onto your phone, well, if you don't like it, I apologize. Hopefully you will like it at some point. And if you do like it and you've been with us for a long time, well, guess what? Here you go. Now's your chance to ask anything. Hey, Angela. Hi, Angela. How are you? Good. All right, sweet. But anyway, unless anybody has anything they want to add, I'm going to go ahead and just start with the news. I think I got everything covered. I'm sure I'll ramble on. When you're by yourself, you tend to do a lot of rambling, and I talk a lot, and I ramble even more. So, yeah. Hi, Angela. But anyway, so if I ramble on, just bear with me. This is my very first time doing this. And as with most first times, I promise it'll get better as I do it more. That's all I'm saying. All right, so diving in, we got some news for you guys this week. We had a pretty big passing. Stan Lee, as everybody has probably seen on the internet, has passed away. And for most of you who probably watch my show or listen to my podcast or even just hang out on the Facebook page, know who Stan Lee is. And for any of you who don't, well, Stan Lee was a pioneer. He was a mega icon in the comic book community. He basically defined a generation of comic books. If you've ever watched a Marvel movie, if you've ever said, I like Spider-Man, or if you've never done any of those things, but your kids love Thor and Captain America and Iron Man, this is because of Stan Lee. I mean, Stan Lee created, in a 10-year period in the in the 60s into early 70s, Stan Lee, and there was a lot of other people he worked with, talented people like Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby, but together they created the whole like everything that we have now that comes from Marvel. Thor, the X-Men, Black Panther, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, the Hulk, Spider-Man, obviously, just to name a few. These are here because of Stan Lee. And, what made Stan Lee different than everybody else is that Stan Lee wanted to have comic book characters that everybody could relate to an extent. So, hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? And yes, as everybody jumps in, I will say your name. You don't have to say anything else, but I'm giving everybody who joins tonight a shout out. So, hey, Brian, good to see you. If you'd like to, leave a comment. Go right ahead. I'll try and get to your questions if you have one. Rachel, thank you for joining. Hi, Rach. How are you? If you're just joining, we're talking about Stan Lee. I'm just kind of gushing about what he meant to me and why he's so important in everybody's lives. But, up until a little history, and I am a giant nerd, so I could probably ramble about this forever. But, before Stan Lee, our comic book heroes were very much like Greek mythology characters. You had your Supermans and your Batman, which were great. I love Superman, huge Superman fan. But, they were, super powerful, almost godlike figures. And they fought godlike battles. And the superheroes of those eras were people that we looked up to, that we wanted to save us, that we wanted to protect us, right? Well, Stan Lee said, you know what? I want to create people that people would want to be, like real life people who have things thrust on them. And what would that be like? And what would the responsibility of that be like? And so the first thing he created was the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family. It was a family dynamic. It was a group of scientists who had something happen to them. They got hit with cosmic rays and they got powers. And what did that mean? What did having powers mean to the family dynamic? And then it was Spider-Man. What about a kid who's going to school, who gets these incredible powers and has to bear the responsibility of that? What does that mean, And if you can go down the list, Iron Man, he was, a genius who made a suit to try and fight evil while he was fighting an alcohol problem. The Hulk, he is an incredibly smart man who's cursed that every time he gets angry, turns into a giant rage monster and destroys things, And so he took the gods and put them to the side and said, you know what would happen if people were superheroes, everyday people that you could relate to. And he tackled a lot of things that were really important to the times. One of the things he did was he thought, you know what, kids are reading our comic books. It's important that we talk to kids. And so he fought to have a set of Spider-Man, a 3-story arc on Spider-Man, where somebody had an alcohol problem. And back in those days, the Comics Code Authority would not let any of that stuff get into the comic books. And Stan Lee said, that's not right. Kids read this, kids deal with it. We should tackle this head on. And he won, and he changed the industry. And from that moment on, comic books weren't just about telling stories. Stan Lee felt they had a responsibility to the readers, to the kids, to teach them. With great power comes with great responsibility, to make them more than just, this is a person who can save you. This is about, you can save yourself. You have the power. Every one of us has the power to do the right thing, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what Stan Lee brought to comic books, and that is why he is so important to the genre. And that's why he's so beloved. Up until, his entire 95 years, up until the day he died, he was still in Comic-Cons, meeting fans on the street. I never got the opportunity to meet Stan Lee, which sucks, but from the stories I've heard, if anybody stopped to say hi, he always took time to say hello, always took time to talk about comic books, always talked about the importance of them. He, in the 60s, he was one of the pioneers in the comic book industry of getting representation. I mean, he had strong female characters. He had strong African-American characters. He created Black Panther because he thought, you know what? There is not a superhero for people who don't look like me, and I need to make one. And he did. And Black Panther, as anybody who just saw the movie, made a couple $1 billion, is hugely important to its community and to all of us, right? I mean, the X-Men were a representation of people who were not who were outcasts, and how it was okay. And just because people are different didn't mean that they were bad or wrong, right? I mean, everything he did, if you look at every character he ever created, he was never a perfect godlike figure. Like I said earlier, I love Superman, but there's a reason why sometimes people have a hard time relating to Superman, because Superman is he's this Zeus, right? He's infallible. He's perfect in every way. And Stan Lee's characters were never like that. Even the guy, Thor, the god of thunder, he is an actual god from Norse mythology. His ego constantly got him into trouble. And, throughout all the comic books, he had to be humbled at all times. And so it's just Stan Lee created so many things because he wanted his characters to have a message to people. It wasn't just read my stories. It was read my stories and you can be a better person for it, right? And it just, that kind of stuff wasn't there before him. And honestly, until Stan Lee, people really didn't take comic books all that serious. And when Stan came out and he started telling these complex stories, like I said, about addiction and about things you deal with in high school and bullying and things like that, people started really looking at these and going, wow, this is a medium that you can tell an amazing visual story and have it resonate with people. And then he took the opportunity, once it became more well-known, at the end of each of his comic books, he had Stan's Soapbox, where he would have messages. He would talk directly to the reader and tell them things like, hey, be a good person, be kind. Like Spider-Man, if you have great power, have great responsibility. Be kind to your fellow neighbor, accept each other, be good to each other. And he preached that until his dying day, honestly. And, we all knew eventually he was going to pass. I mean, 95 is a long life and a huge bucket of wind, to quote one of my favorite podcasters, Kevin Smith. He lived an amazing life. And you know what? It's hard to look, it's almost hard to look at this sadly, because he leaves a legacy that will endure. I mean, any one of us could probably wishes that we left the legacy that Stan Lee is going to leave. But it's still, we all thought he'd live forever, and it still sucks that he finally passed. His wife passed last year, his longtime wife, and it seems like a lot of times older people, when their long-term spouse passes, they tend to go eventually pretty quickly. So I think we all kind of knew this might be coming, but it's still a sad day. But honestly, it's a good time to remember what he stood for. And you know what? Right now, the geek and nerd community is really trying to tear itself apart in some ways. We have a lot of voices trying to get representation, and we have a lot of people who don't like that and who don't want that. And I think if we can take anything from Stan Lee and from his passing, is that we all need to, be kind to each other and accept each other and understand that we're in this thing together and there's enough for everybody. There's enough space for everyone to be represented and for everyone to have a voice and for all of us to be together to do it, right? And, I know it's geek and nerd stuff. And if you're not into that and you're watching this, you're probably like, wow, he's really, really excited about this. But you know what? There's a huge community of people. And I know me growing up, it wasn't always cool to like comic books. And it always wasn't cool to want to be Superman or Captain America. And, and it is now. And I love that it is. And it breaks my heart that there is a side of this, an ugly side of nerddom where there's a lot of people who don't want things to ever change. And they all want their superheroes to look exactly the same and do the exact same things. And it sucks because that is not what Stan Lee ever preached, and that's not what he wanted. So I would love for all of us to constantly keep embracing the legacy of Stan Lee and moving forward that way. But anyway, that's what he meant to me. Obviously we also know him as the guy who was in all the Marvel movies. The new generation probably only knows him as the old guy who keeps showing up in all the MCU movies and X-Men movies and Spider-Man movies and everything else. And he was great in that. Me personally, if you guys want to hop on, I know if you guys are watching, let me know what you guys think. What was your favorite Stan Lee cameo? I know personally for me, Captain America Civil War, I think is my favorite. When he shows up as the FedEx guy and he's like, yeah, I got a package for Tony Stank. That was funny. I don't know why it was so funny. It's just a play on words, but it was really great. Most of the time he doesn't really interact with people. I really liked that line. I thought it was pretty good. I also really enjoyed the fact that he was a strip club DJ in the Deadpool movie. That is also a great cameo from Stan Lee. But, like I said, if any of you guys have a favorite Stan Lee cameo, I would love to hear it. And let me know if you guys have any experience or any thoughts on Stan Lee. Hit them in the comments. Even if we've moved on, I will read them and we will talk more about Stan Lee. Tonight, the entire episode is dedicated to the man who changed the industry forever. So, Stan Lee, this one's for you, buddy. Normally we say good journeys and may the force be with you, but tonight I'm just going to say Excelsior, buddy. From wherever you are, man, keep drawing. keep creating awesome universes. All right, moving on. Let's see, what do we got here? Avengers news. Well, since we're talking about Marvel here and Marvel icons, we'll hop into Avengers news. Kind of tie back into Stan Lee real quick. So Stan Lee apparently has filmed his Avengers Avengers 4 cameo. So we will be seeing Stan again. I'm guessing he has a cameo in good notifications here. I'm trying to turn them off. What do we got? Whatever. Shut up, Ryan. Don't send me messages on that, Ryan. You should be on Facebook and chat. Just because you're not here with me in person doesn't mean you can't be in the chat with the lovely people watching us. What was I talking about? Avengers 4. There we go. Avengers 4. So Stan Lee probably, I'm guessing, has filmed a cameo for Captain Marvel. He definitely has already filmed his cameo for Avengers 4. And there was rumor that he had filmed a whole bunch of cameos just in case something did happen to him. So I doubt this will be the end of Stan Lee. And my guess is probably every Marvel movie from now until the end of time will probably still have a Stan Lee cameo, whether it's a picture or a Stan Lee bobblehead or something. I feel like every movie from this day forward will have a Stan Lee cameo in it. So anyway, so Avengers 4 news. It's currently filming. Well, no, it's done filming. It's currently in post-production. It's coming out in April, I believe. I think the last week of April. And apparently it is rumored to be 3 hours long at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that's how long it's going to be. I'm guessing they're going to trim it down. They're still going to edit it and add in all special effects. I also think that there may be a reason why we've heard this movie is already 3 hours long. I'm kind of wondering if Kevin Feige kind of let this out that it's 3 hours long to judge our reaction to it, right? Whether or not we would be okay with sitting for a 3-hour Avengers movie. And I say, yeah, no shit. I'm going to sit for 3 hours for an Avengers movie. It could be 5 hours and I'll sit for it. I mean, you might have to give me a little intermission so I get some popcorn, use the bathroom a couple times. I'm not 18 anymore. I can't hold my bladder for like 3 hours. It's one of the downsides of getting older. You got to pee every 20 minutes. What is that about anyways? Anybody have an answer to that? Why is it as you get older, you have to pee excessively all the time? Does anybody know the answer to this? Is there any doctors out there? I don't know who's watching right now, but either one of you people watching, you guys doctors, could you go to maybe WikiLinks? Or don't ask WebMD because they'll say cancer. My toe hurts. WebMD, what does it mean? Cancer. No, I just stubbed my toe. That's what it means. Who writes for WebMD anyway? I feel like I want that job. Literally, all you question, doctor, I shaved my beard today and it didn't grow back. What should I do? Nothing. You have cancer. That'll be my answer for everything. WebMD, Q&A. Should call it web cancer. It's because that's every answer is cancer. All right. What was I talking about? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, Avengers. So anyway, rumor 3 hours. Don't know if it'll be that long. We were supposed to get a trailer here real soon. Rumor is it's going to drop with the Wreck-It Ralph movie that's coming out in a couple weeks, which I'm hearing is really, really good. I'll probably go see it with my kids. If nothing else, I can't wait to see the Disney princesses because in the trailers, they're freaking hilarious. And side notes, they better have Rey and Princess Leia running around because if you're going to have princesses, Disney princesses, you better not forget about the ultimate princess, Princess Leia. That's all I got to say about that. Princess Leia or bust. But yeah, I heard Wreck-It Ralph is really good, and the rumor is that the Avengers trailer is going to drop with that. So with most trailers, they usually release them on the internet the night before the theater, but whatever. We will make sure you guys see it. We will share it as soon as I see it. Probably leak early. If it does, I'll share it with everybody. That's what we do. We're nice people. And definitely we'll talk all about it. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer them all. All I know is Avengers 4 is going to be epic, and they don't even have to release a trailer. Just say, put your butt in the theater this date, and I'll be there. There we go. All right, another franchise that you don't have to tell me when it comes out, or show me a trailer, just tell me when it comes out and I'll be there, is Star Wars. And there's some pretty good sized Star Wars news. I mean, episode 9 is currently filming, and I've seen some spoiler horrific rumors, but I'm not going to share them because whatever, man. I hate stupid spoilers that nobody can confirm. And I heard from a guy who heard from a guy. That's not not news. That's just hearsay. I can do that. You know what I should do? I should make a whole website where I just randomly write things. Luke Skywalker faked his own death and crawls out of the ocean and rides a tauntaun back to Tatooine, where he confesses to Rey that he's her father, which is what the internet wants. And you're not going to get that, internet. Rian Johnson is good at what he does. The Last Jedi was a good movie. Deal with it. Anyway, what's today? Star Wars news. Rogue One. So this is actually not Star Wars movie news. This is actually Star Wars TV news. So we talked about it last week that the Mandalorian is getting its own TV. It's going to be the first Star Wars television show for the Disney streaming service. Well, we know a couple things. One, we know the Disney streaming service officially has a name. It is Disney Plus. It's not actually Plus. It's going to be Disney and the plus sign, which whatever. I don't know. Why don't you just call it the Disney app, the Disney streaming app, or called not Netflix? We could call it that. Called Disney's Netflix. That'd work. But anyway, we found out Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney and super uber rich man in the world, he announced on his their quarterly Disney calls a few things. One was that the streaming service is going to be called Disney Plus with an X, with the plus sign, not spelled out, and that it's going to launch in late 2019. So no price point yet. They did say that the pricing point will reflect the fact that they don't have as much content as they want, which I don't know how. They literally own Fox, Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, literally everything. But hopefully that means for us $10 or less a month, because I'm definitely signing up for this service. But they also announced that they were going to be, in addition to The Mandalorian, they're going to do another TV show called, we don't know what it's called, but it's going to be based on Rogue One. It's going to be a prequel series starring Diego Luna. So if you don't know who that is, he was Cassian Andor in the Rogue One series. So if you haven't seen Rogue One, well, you should go watch it. It's pretty good. Nothing else. Darth Vader murders 50 people, just epically, and so it's worth watching just for that. But that being said, if you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch. It's pretty good. But this is going, like I said, this is going to be a prequel. If you haven't watched, I mean, this is a little bit of a spoiler. Pretty much, this is a really big spoiler, actually. 3, 2, 1. Everybody dies at the end of Rogue One, so they can't do a sequel to Rogue One, so they're doing a prequel. We do not know what time frame this is set in. Obviously, it's going to be when Cassian's a little bit older, because Diego Luna is playing him. But in the movie, he says that he's been part of the rebellion since he was 6, which, I don't want to get too much deep into canon here, but I think that would make it during the Clone Wars, so I'm not sure if the timeline's correct. But whatever. I don't really care. I think it'll be cool. I've long said on this show, all Star Wars new. All Star Wars is good Star Wars. I don't care what it's about. I'm gonna watch it. But there's some interesting things they could do here. So anybody who likes Solo, this is taking place kind of in the Birth of the Rebellion era. So right before, if you haven't seen Rogue One, it takes place right before the start of actually, like literally the end of that movie is the New Hope, Star Wars: A New Hope. So kind of chronicles the Death Star plans and how they were stolen and part of the rebellion. So this series could easily tie into the birth of the rebellion, the years leading up into A New Hope, obviously. So some of the things we could see is if anybody's ever watched Star Wars Rebels, we could see Star Wars Rebels tied into here. We could see people popping in and out from that series. Maybe we'll get Ahsoka. Maybe we'll get, I don't know, anybody from Rebels. Maybe we'll get. It's possible we can get, if you've seen Solo. It's possible maybe we get some of the characters from Solo. Enfys Nest, that was a great character who was very much set up in that movie, but we didn't get to see a lot of it. So maybe we'll get Enfys Nest. Maybe we'll get a Han Solo and Chewbacca. Maybe we'll get Lando. Maybe we'll get any of those characters from Solo. And if you haven't seen Solo yet, this is also a spoiler. So 3, 2, 1. Maybe Darth Maul could show up. We do know at the end of Solo, Darth Maul has been revealed to be the person behind the Red Suns, the Twin Suns, or something. I don't know. It's one of the Crimson Suns, the gangster squad, the mafiosos of the universe. So he could definitely be in play. We could have the Hutts. We could have a lot of things in play in this series. So I don't care. It's Star Wars. I think it'll be. I think it'll be cool. When we get more details, obviously we'll talk about them. But if I had to guess, I would say this is probably going to be a couple of years before the events of Rogue One, and maybe 2-3 years before the events of Rogue One. And I think they're gonna tell a lot of rebellion stories. They'll loop it back in, obviously, to the Empire. And I definitely think we're gonna get some cameos from possibly Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. Definitely anything we've seen. I really do think they're gonna try and bring some of the Rebels stuff, maybe even Grand Admiral Thrawn. There's a lot of things they did in Rebels, which if you haven't watched Rebels, I know it's animated. Maybe you're like, animation, not my thing. I'm telling you, Rebels is a fantastic cartoon and a great tie-in to the Star Wars universe. So I really do think they're going to bring some of those characters from Rebels, whether it's Kanan or, like I said, Ahsoka, or some of those characters. But we'll definitely probably get R2-D2 and C-3PO. We're going to get some characters that we know and love. But I think it'll be cool. It'll be great. The other series, like I said earlier, that they've already announced, The Mandalorian, we finally have some casting news. That is going to be taking place 7 years after Return of the Jedi. And it's going to be starring a Mandalorian. We're not sure exactly what that character is or what they're doing. But if you don't know The Mandalorian, think of Boba Fett. The guy with the green armor, looked really cool, died really easy. He stole that armor from a race of people known as the Mandalorians. They're kind of like, I don't know, just a warrior race of people. Kind of like the Klingons, I guess, if you like Star Trek. But they look human. So we're not sure. It's going to have a Western feel. It seems like it has a $100 million budget, so it's going to be a big show. But we do know who the main star is going to be. Pedro Pascal has been cast as the Mandalorian. He's been in, I guess for me, his biggest role was the Red. I think it's the Red Viper from Game of Thrones. Prince something, I don't know. He was really cool. He had this like double staff, and he fought the Mountain. If you don't watch Game of Thrones, if that was like early on. He got his head blown up by the Mountain, but he was great. The Red Viper, really good. He's also been in, what else has he been in? He's been in the Kingsman 2 movie. He's also been cast, I believe, as the villain in the new Wonder Woman movie, but he's a fantastic actor, and I think this is a really good get for Disney. I think he's going to do really well in this. Also, Carl Weathers has been cast. We do not know in what role yet. If you don't know who Carl Weathers is, that is Apollo Creed, the original Apollo Creed in Rocky. So there you go. Oh, look at that. I guess I got to scroll up on the comments. Everybody keeps joining, and I didn't see your comments. My bad, everybody. All right, real quick. Well, hang on. I'll finish this news, and then I'm going to say hi to everybody who joined and ask and answer some questions here, since I didn't realize that people were leaving questions. My bad. Like I said, this is the first time. I apologize. Never done this before. I'll be better the next time. Okay, last news. So Carl Weathers, Creed, who is going to be in the show. No word yet on what he's doing. And also Gina Carano, who is used to be mixed martial artist. She was in Fast and Furious and most recently in the Deadpool movie. She's also going to be in this. So there you go. All right. So real quick, before I move on with the news, let's see what we got here. Brian asked, favorite Stan Lee film cameo? Well, I hope you heard it earlier. If you didn't, my favorite is Civil War. When he walks in as a FedEx guy and says, "Hey, I got a package here for Tony Stank." Tony Stank. There you go. All right. So let's see. I don't know who's currently joined. If you guys want to say hi, hey, David. David has joined. It has been, when I said earlier that people have been busting my chops to do a live show, David is one of them. So hey, Dave. Hope you're happy. You finally got what you wanted. Lori. Hello, Lori. Thanks for joining. I hope you're still here. And you guys did. Josh, thanks for joining. Good to see you, buddy. See you every day. But hey, you know what? If you want to watch me ramble for a while, I'm all for it. But all right, what else we got here? Yes, I said hi, Rachel. Rachel, I'm here too. I did say hi, Rachel. All right, moving on. What do we got? Holly wants to know who the bootiest superhero ever is. All right, who's the worst superhero ever? God, I don't know. There's some really bad ones. If we're gonna go like, who do I just think is Jubilee? Jubilee is the dumbest X-Men ever. Now I know there's a lot of really bad ones, but I grew up in the '90s watching the '90s show, the cartoon, animated cartoon, and I never understood Jubilee's powers. Now you may be a huge X-Men fan and go, well, you know what? Later in the comic book, she turned it. I don't care. In the cartoon, all she did was shoot, like she wore like these really bad '90s glasses and had this like yellow trench coat, and she shot like sparkles. That was her mutant power. I don't think you can consider yourself a mutant if literally I could do the same thing with Roman candles. Pew 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 pew. Jubilee, really bad superhero. Let's see some other really bad superheroes. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Who don't I like? Who's just bad? I never liked Plastic Man. I've always thought that was just a dumb. I mean, you have Mr. Fantastic. He can like stretch himself, and so Plastic Man turns himself to plastic. He just cracks jokes. What a dumb superhero. Oh my God, David. I'm going to save your question for a little bit. I got to get through the news first, and then I'll answer your question. Yeah, David likes to throw out these crazy things where you have to think about it, and it takes an hour to answer. So we are going to get to a Q&A section here coming up. So if you guys do have some great questions, go and throw them in the comments. I just did not know that I needed to update the comment section. So that's why I'm trying to get caught up here. All right, top 10 favorite actors. So David wants to know who my top 10 favorite actors and actresses of all time are. You're going to find out after I finish the news, David. So you better stick around. Bootiest superheroes ever. Well, I answered one of them, Hall. I'm going to think about it and answer some more in the Q&A section. Oh, I love you. I heart you too, David. Heart. Also wants to know about Russell Wilson. We'll talk about that in Q&As. All right, moving on. I don't have a lot of news, so we'll get through the rest of this news, and then I'm going to answer all the questions. But like I said, I do apologize for those of you who said something and I didn't respond. Like I said, I'm learning this too. We're all learning together. It's like sitting around watching PBS. By the end of this, we're just going to know more. Anyway, I also wish it would show me who. Let me see who's watching. Can I click on this? Does it tell me? No. So I don't know who's watching currently. So if you're like, why isn't Brian saying hi? I don't know who it is. It just says I have a few people. It doesn't say who. I keep having like a fourth who keeps hopping on and off. They're kind of waffling a little bit. I think they like it, but they don't want to admit they like it. And so they're secretly trying to hide it, which is cool. And I lost more people. All right, moving on. We'll get to the news. All right. Apparently nobody wants to hear me ramble. Okay, so I think I got everybody. Lori, you're the best. Rachel, you're the best. Josh, thanks for joining. You're the man. Brian, I already told you you're the best. And David, you got a heart, so you're good. All right, so moving on. Let's see. We talked about Star Wars news. What's the next big thing to talk about? I don't know. Maybe Game of Thrones. Been trying to get my wife to watch Game of Thrones. If all you guys would officially Game of Thrones shame my wife, one of these days she's going to watch it. I'm going to get her to do it. I keep trying to tell her the final season is upon us. Now is the best time. She doesn't have to wait for years like we have for the final season, which apparently has finally been announced that is coming out in April. We are getting the final season of Game of Thrones in April. Rumors were we were going to have to wait until June or July, possibly even August, and most of us were like, no. Well, we don't have to wait that long. We're going to get it in April. So I think it's 6 episodes. Each one is going to be more than an hour long. Rumors are some of them are going to be as long as 2 hours long. So it's going to be a very big season, even though it's only 6 episodes. But coming soon to a big, giant screen TV near you. All right, next up, let's see what we got here. Pacific Rim and Altered Carbon, both great properties. I like the movies of Pacific Rim, and I really love the first season of Altered Carbon. Are getting animated. So Altered Carbon has already been renewed on Netflix. We're getting another season of that show soon, but apparently Pacific Rim, we don't know. There may be no more movies of Pacific Rim. That could possibly happen. But what we do know is we are going to continue the universe in animated form. So Netflix actually had a lot of success. They've been putting a lot of anime out, and the ratings are really, really high. One of their original shows, Castlevania, is one of their better shows. I love Castlevania. And it's inspired them to find other properties that they can turn into animation. So they've signed a deal with Pacific Rim, Altered Carbon. Don't know when, don't know what it's going to follow, but it is coming soon. So I'm sure Netflix is going to be getting even more into the animated business, especially since it sounds like they're going to be getting rid of a lot of their Netflix shows or Marvel shows with Disney. With the Disney streaming service coming out, Netflix wants to kind of branch out and do their own thing. So they are looking for a lot more properties that they can exploit. So, which makes sense. I mean, why play Daredevil that helps promote your rival if you can come out with your own really cool Pacific Rim cartoon? Then it's the only place you can find that universe. So anyway, that is kind of, it seems like what Netflix is moving to. Also, speaking of the Marvel shows, apparently they just did a ranking. Somebody released all the ratings of all the Marvel shows on television. And surprise, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the top rated and watched Marvel show on television. So if that shocked you, didn't shock me. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been really good for a long time. I am surprised that they didn't release the ratings of all the other ones. I would guess that Daredevil is probably close number 2. It is a fantastic show. Season 3 is amazing. Me and Ryan did a whole 30-minute review of how great Daredevil Season 3 is. You should definitely watch it. It's on YouTube. But yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., great show. You should definitely be watching it. I would like to know, though, what your favorite Marvel TV shows are if you watch them. I also would recommend Cloak and Dagger. They only had 1 season so far, but it's pretty good. I've not watched The Runaways, so if you put, Brian, have you seen The Runaways? I haven't seen The Runaways yet. But I think I've seen everything else. So, all right, last couple stories we got here, and then we'll get to David's questions and anybody else who has one, because I think David is continues to watch the show because this is what he's wanted. And as typical David fashion, we have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 questions he already wants to ask, and I'm sure by the time we get to the Q&A, I will have probably 15 from him because that man is a question factory. All right, so moving on. Last couple stories we got for you guys. Walking Dead had its first episode without Rick this last week, and the ratings actually stayed pretty strong. The Rick episode was the highest rated this season. The finale of the Andrew Lincoln episode. It had about 8 million viewers. This episode was anywhere like 6.5 million, so the rating stayed pretty strong. There was a worry that it would just absolutely tank, but I mean, the ratings have already tanked pretty bad. They've gone from like 15, 20 million viewers an episode to they're down to 5, 6, 7, 8, which isn't terrible, but it's definitely not what it was. I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think about The Walking Dead so far this season. I didn't like the first few. I really enjoyed the last Andrew Lincoln episode, and I thought this last week's was pretty good. I thought it was all right. I think it was great, but I thought it was good. So I don't know. There you go. I'd like to know what you guys think. And then finally, we had a couple new trailers this week. We had one for Secret Life of Pets 2. I'm not even going to talk about that one. Whatever. He went to the vet. They replaced. I don't know. I remember his name. Who's the comic who decided he liked to rub one out while people were on the phone with him? Whatever. They replaced that guy with Patton Oswalt is now the voice of. I can't remember his name. Somebody in the comments. 2 of you are watching. Who's the sicko comedian who likes to play with himself when people were on the phone and didn't know about it? I can't remember his name. Somebody will come up with it in a second. Anyway, he's been replaced with Patton Oswalt, and I'm sure our kids are all going to want to see The Secret Life of Pets because it's got dogs and cats and stuff. The other trailer that was the other anime trailer that I saw that was really good for the most part. I mean, it was a teaser, but it just brought back all the feels. Is Toy Story 4. It's a movie that we just don't need, unfortunately. I mean, I've seen a lot of mixed reactions. It looks great. It looks beautiful as always. It has all the characters we know and love. Had some really new characters. It was 2 trailers we got. One was a teaser with all the main cast, and then the second one was with Keenan Peele from that TV show. They're voicing Ducky and Bunny, who, by the way, are freaking hilarious. If you have not seen the teaser with Ducky and Bunny, you should definitely watch that. It is so funny. But anyway, it kind of gives us a feel for the show. I mean, whatever. What do you say about Toy Story? It's freaking Toy Story. I keep hearing rumors that this one's going to have death of major characters, which really, I mean, Pixar, I know you like to make us cry, but come on. Family. If I take all my kids to go see this movie and it's just nothing but people crying because Woody gets his head chopped off, I'm going to be real pissed. That's all I'm saying. I mean, Coco, tears. Just bawling. I don't need to cry, though, because they put Buzz Lightyear in a wood chipper. All right? We definitely do not need that. So, anyway, that's all I'm saying. Pixar, let us know. If Buzz Lightyear is going into a wood chipper, or Woody into a wood chipper, wouldn't that be ironic? Eesh. Oh, that's really ironic. It's more of a play on words, but whatever. That'd be terrible. Anyway, let us know, because that would just be awful. So, anyway. All right. And that is it. That's the news. That's all the news we got. There we go. All right. Anything? Anybody got anything to say? Scroll in the comments. I don't see any comments. Nothing? Everybody? All right. Moving on. Last chance. Anything want to make any news? Anybody want to talk about? I'm going to take a sip of my drink, and then I'm moving on. All right. Q&A. Here's the Q&A segment, everybody. If you were not familiar with this show, usually Ryan puts up a post every Thursday and asks you guys, hey, you got any questions, anything you want to ask us, anything. Everything is, nothing is off limits. You can literally ask us anything. We've had friends ask us how to make a pond, what we'd put in the pond. We've had all kinds of weird and interesting questions. So now's the time. Anybody watching, I'm not sure who's watching right now. I know a few of you are. If you guys have a question and you want to post, you want me to answer it, just put it in the comments. I've got a few minutes here with David. David left a lot of questions. I'm going to go back to Holly's question about bootiest superhero ever. And just because I love Brian so much, because he's got such a great name, I'm going to answer more of my favorite Stan Lee film cameos, because also Stan Lee is amazing. There we go. All right, here we go. Q&A time from the Faithful 50. Tonight, live. You were asking me questions, I'm going to answer them. So first up, we have David, who has 3 questions right now. We'll see if he has more before I'm done with this. But first, he wants to know, is Russell Wilson worth the contract that is coming up? Well, basically coming to him. So if you don't know who Russell Wilson is, he's the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, and he is just about ready to renegotiate his contract. Short answer, yes, he is worth every penny. Can you imagine what the Seahawks would be like if we did not have Russell Wilson? Let's bring back Tavares Jackson. What do you think we would look like with Tavares Jackson? I'll tell you what we'd look like. We'd be worse than 4-5. On the last Geek Dad Report versus NFL, I ranted and raved a lot about how angry I was. And about how, sorry, I was reading the comments. You caught me. About how angry I was about why the Hawks were 4-5 and all the things they've done. But I'm telling you right now, David, if we had a lesser quarterback, we'd have 2 wins right now if we were lucky. Russell Wilson does have his downside. He definitely has some faults. And trust me, there's not a game that goes by that I'm not cursing. Why in the hell does he not throw the ball on 3rd down when 9 guys are chasing him around in the backfield? But still, he is worth every penny. He is a great quarterback. And whatever he gets paid, good for him. And not to mention, we paid him. He was making $200,000 when he won the Super Bowl. Think about that. So I'd say we owe him. All right. Let's see here. Back to Holly's question. Bootiest superhero ever. We already said Jubilee. She was a real bad superhero. I'm going to say, who else a real bad superhero? Ugh, God, there's so many that are bad. I don't know. I'm gonna think. That's. I don't want dead air time. I'm gonna come back to that one because if I can't think of anything, then I don't want to. I don't want you guys just staring at me while I'm like, what does Brian think of? So this is the nice thing of having a co-host is usually that person talks while you think about it and you can stall for a little while. But I'm gonna have to stall in a second. David, I got a couple more questions from David here, so we'll go back to David's questions. He wants to know if I've watched The Outlaw King on Netflix, the Braveheart, basically the quote-unquote unofficial Braveheart sequel. He says he liked it. I have not watched it yet. I do want to watch it. All I've heard about it is that Captain Kirk shows his wiener. Which, okay. Sure. Chris Pine showed off his pine tree. Good for him. I don't know. I'm going to watch it. I'll let y'all watch it, and I'll let you know if I like it. I've heard it's good. So, and you liked it. So, yeah, there's something. Oh, no. Everybody left me. I have nobody. Somebody's back. Woohoo! I was all alone. I was so lonely. My viewer count went to 0. It made me sad inside. I was about to cry. Wasn't going to cry. All right, and I'm back to no followers, listeners. Nobody likes me. All right, so let's see. And then let's see. David has another question. He says he wants to know the top 10 actors or actresses of all time. Go. All right, my favorites actors and actresses of all time. I'm sure there's somebody I'm going to miss, but let's just start going through them. Some of my favorites. Russell Crowe is a personal favorite of mine for a long time. He hasn't done anything lately that I really like, but man, he had a run in the 90s and the early 2000s that was amazing. Pretty good. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, I know he hasn't made anything good in a while, but I'm telling you, that man was like my childhood. I mean, Predator, Terminator, are you kidding me? Kindergarten Cop. I still quote that movie. Sadly, a lot of times people don't always get the quotes, but Last Action Hero, that was an underrated movie too, by the way. You know, everyone expected something else, but I bet you if you watch that movie now, you probably think that's a pretty good movie. Let's see, who else do I really like? Harrison Ford, of course. The man is Harrison Ford. He's Indiana Jones. He was, let's see. Oh, Rachel's in a movie. Oh, favorite is comment a superhero. All right, let's see. Hi, Rachel. Rachel left a bunch of questions. I'm going to get your questions in a second, Rachel. I was just finishing answering David's. He wanted to know who are the top 10 favorite actors and actresses. Anyway, Harrison Ford. Love Harrison Ford. Let's see. Who do I like? Gal Gadot. She's new, but man, if I don't love her Wonder Woman. She's great. And every time she's on screen, she's probably one of the best things of Fast and Furious. Until they killed her. That's stupid. So she's a new one, but I really like her. Let's see, who else do I really, really enjoy? Sylvester Stallone. He made a lot of good movies when I was a kid. Whatever. I like Val Kilmer. Tom Cruise. I know it's not a popular choice. Tom Cruise. Everybody hates Tom Cruise, but I think he's a really good actor. He makes good movies. I mean, I don't know. Charlize Theron's got to be one of the best female actors of our generation, right? That girl is amazing. Who else do I really enjoy? I don't know. You know what's funny is I really like Chris Pratt. Keanu Reeves, come on. Keanu Reeves made Bill and Ted. Can you go wrong with Bill and Ted? I mean, come on. You know what's funny is nowadays, I remember when I was younger, we used to go to movies based on just who was starring in it. Now it's much more of like, what movie is it? Robert Downey Jr., he's great. God. Who's some of the actresses I really liked? Sigourney Weaver. Love Sigourney Weaver. Linda Hamilton. As you can tell, a lot of these actors and actresses are people from my youth. They tend to make the biggest mark. But Linda Hamilton, you know what? Actually, I'm going to save a couple of those. So I'm just going to say those guys. I mean, there's a lot more. Brad Pitt, great actor. Leonardo DiCaprio, fantastic actor. I watch just about anything he's in. So there's a lot of really good actors and actresses. But those are a few of my favorites. Sean Connery, I loved growing up as well. There you go. I'm going to say those. I'm going to stop there because Rachel has some great questions, and I want to get to her questions as well. So first off, what does she got? She has, why is the Hulk standalone movies so bad? Honestly, Rachel, it's because the Hulk is not really a compelling character, to be honest with you. He's great. I think the Avengers nailed it. He's great at what he is. He's a super smart guy who turns into a giant rage monster who just smashes things. I don't know how to tell. I don't know how you can tell a compelling. I mean, I'm sure if Marvel took back the character. I mean, there's a reason why they don't make any standalone movies right now under the MCU is because Universal still has the rights to the movies. So if they release anything, they have to give Universal Studios a cut of that, and they don't want to, which is why we do not have any new Hulk movies under the standalone MCU. I know we had the one that's technically part of the MCU with Edward Norton, but I mean, I don't know. I'm sure if you sit down, you could find a compelling way to tell the story, but how do you tell the story about a guy? I mean, everybody knows the story. He was blasted by gamma radiation, and now when he gets really angry, he smashes things. So how do you tell a story that you're really interested in? I mean, you could have him just smash things for 2 hours, but we've seen that. Yes, Rachel, I know. Tom Cruise is gross. Nobody likes Tom Cruise. I get it. I think he's a terrible person, but I think he's a really good actor. Think about it. Name me, like, a really bad Tom Cruise movie. Every movie he makes is good. I'll just tell you. It's good. He's a good actor. Bad human. Good actor. And Mission Impossible Fallout's really, really good. And it's got the girl from, what's her name? Rebecca. God, what is her name? Rebecca. I can't remember her last name, but she was like in The White Queen. She's awesome. She kicks so much ass in Fallout. She's great. So anyway, yeah, I just think because the Hulk really just isn't a very compelling character for a standalone. You know, half the time he's just this really smart, nerdy guy who's really emo all the time, because think about it. If you get emotional at all, you turn into a giant rage monster. I mean, if your pulse goes up, think about that. Think about all the things you do that make your pulse go up. And imagine if you could never do those things again, how angry you would be all the time. I would just be the Hulk all the time. It'd be terrible. So that's why I'm guessing the movies are bad. And also because Kevin Feige hasn't really had a crack at it. So, okay. And then she wants to know, Rachel would also like to know, she came up with a whole bunch of questions. Was she in Lord of the Rings? Sorry, side note. She said Rebecca was in Lord of the Rings. Who was she in Lord of the Rings? Answer in the comments. All right. I want to know. Okay, she wants to know who my favorite female character is in a comic. So in a comic book, who is my favorite female character in a comic book? I really was partial to Jean Grey growing up. I loved Jean Grey. I thought her story was amazing. She was such a powerful character, but it was always like, I really liked that she had so much power, but she was always afraid to let it out, and she always kind of keep it in check. In the movies, she hasn't really been done justice. But I really, growing up, I really loved her as a comic book character. I also really loved Domino as a character in the comic books. I grew up loving Cable, and she was just a fun character. And she was so great in Deadpool 2 as well. I love that they did her right. Let's see. Who else do I like? Let's see. Lord of the Rings. Okay, she didn't answer. I don't know who she played in Lord of the Rings. Now I'm interested, but I want to know her name. Rebecca. Somebody tell me her last name. She's really good. I like her a lot. Let's see, my other favorite female characters. Growing up, I loved She-Hulk. I really thought she was a great character. Obviously, I love Wonder Woman. I mean, she's kind of the go-to, but I'm trying to think of somebody besides Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's just great. Batgirl, another really cool character in the DC universe. Honestly, I didn't read a ton of female comic books with female-led characters growing up, and honestly, it's because they didn't really have a lot of them, to be honest. Most of them were from the X-Men. I love Rogue, love Storm, Jean Grey. Not a fan of Jubilee, if I haven't mentioned that. Psylocke, I really liked her. I thought she was kind of a cool character. I mean, her costume made no sense, but she was a cool character in the comic books. Mary Jane, I like Mary Jane because, a lot of times in comic books, like, the girlfriend is always just this wet blanket who's there to just tell her man he can't do something. Mary Jane, I really, believe it or not, like, growing up, like, that's the relationship I wanted. Peter Parker and Mary Jane. I know it wasn't cool later on, and they had Peter Parker get divorced just because it wasn't cool for him to be married, but I always thought it was really cool that Peter Parker found somebody who loved him and accepted him for what he was, and she had her own career, and she was a strong woman, and they were partners. And so, I mean, it sounds corny, but growing up reading Spider-Man, I always wanted a relationship like Peter Parker and Mary Jane. They seem to really love each other a lot, and they seem to have a really good partnership. So, and she wasn't like, I'm just going to stay at home. And honestly, same with Lois Lane. I mean, she was a strong female who, she didn't have powers, but she wasn't going to take no shit from nobody. I mean, she was always right in the thick of everything. I mean, early on, Superman had to save her a lot, but later on, and they developed her into a fully fledged character who went on her own adventures. Hey, Heather, thanks for joining. We're doing, since you just joined us real quick, we are doing the Q&A section. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, I would be more than happy to answer them. Just throw one in the comment section and I'll get to it. So like, Lois Lane, a lot of my favorite female characters didn't even have powers, and I kind of admired that about them to an extent. So, because they didn't need them, they went in, they just did their own thing. I mean, if that isn't telling about women, they don't even need powers, and they're still right in the thick of things. Dudes need all the powers in the world to handle any situation. You got Lois Lane and Mary Jane are running headfirst into situations, and they don't have any powers. They're just like, we're just going to do the right thing. There we go. I'm sure there's plenty I'm missing. I've started to read. I haven't read it, but I've started to watch some of the shows with Miss Marvel. She's really cool. I really like her a lot. Squirrel Girl is kind of becoming one of my new favorite characters. I just recently got turned on to her, and Squirrel Girl is amazing. Anyway, so there you go. All right. Also, she wants to know my favorite feminist superhero in a movie. Man, I don't know if there's a lot of feminists in the comic movies. I would say Black Widow. I love Black Widow. I've thought she's been a really good character. Iron Man 2, she wasn't done as well. But honestly, since then, I think Scarlett Johansson has really crushed it as Scarlet Witch or as Black Widow, and I really like her. I'm very much looking forward to Miss Marvel. Honestly, favorite feminist is probably the best. She's not really the mainstay, but I forget her name, but a Wonder Woman's aunt in the Wonder Woman movie, played by Robin Wright. Oh my God, that woman is an absolute badass. I would watch any movie that was just about her because she is such a boss in that. When she does that slow motion with the bow and arrow and she shoots 3 German soldiers, so awesome. But I mean, I guess Wonder Woman, she has to be the ultimate feminist icon, right, in movies. I mean, she's strong, she's independent, but she's also caring and nurturing. I mean, she does it all. That woman can do no wrong. She's amazing. And Gal Gadot, like I said, I love Gal. Great as Wonder Woman. I also am really like the Wasp a lot. Evangeline Lilly, I love her character in those movies. I never understood. Okay, first of all, David, I answered the Russell Wilson question. I answered the Outlaw King question. And only I know if I'm wearing pants. None of you will know the mystery of, is Brian only wearing a shirt? It's possible. I don't know. You shouldn't have checked out, David. I know you got 9 or 22 children that you got to watch, but show should always come first. So you're going to have to rewind it for the answers. Sorry. Right now I'm answering Rachel's questions because she was patient. She waited her turn. So sorry, Dave. I want to tell you. Let's see. I think that's it. I think that's so Evangeline Lilly, I like her a lot. I never understood why she couldn't just be the Ant-Man. If you watch Ant-Man 1 and 2, she's clearly the superior superhero than Scott Lang. I mean, I just want to see. You know what I really want to see? I want to see a female Avengers movie. Take all the female characters that are still alive, or at least will be after the snap comes back in Avengers 4, and put them in an all-female movie. I think they would kick so much ass. I think it would be great. But anyway, if we're gonna do a Marvel, I think Black Widow's great. I love Scarlet. I like Scarlet Witch too, but I really like Wonder Woman and Wasp. I think she is Janet Van Dyne. I think she's great. So, but Scott's funny. Well, yeah, Scott. Yes, Heather. I'm not saying get rid of Scott Lang. I mean, come on, everybody loves. What's his name? Who's the actor? I don't know. Everybody loves Ant-Man. He's great. I'm just saying I really like the Wasp. She made way more sense. If you watch that movie again, she's the better fighter. She's smarter. She already knows how to use the suit. And she's already in with the big evil boss in Ant-Man 1. There's literally no reason other than Hank Pym doesn't want his daughter doing it that she should not put on that Ant-Man suit and go do it. She probably would have succeeded and the movie would have been 10 minutes long, right? So I guess maybe that's why they did it. But she's such a better hero. Even in Ant-Man and the Wasp, she's still better. She saves his butt all the time. I mean, Paul Rudd is great, and everybody loves Paul Rudd. He's a treasure. But I don't know. I just think the Wasp is. I think she's a better superhero than Ant-Man. All right. What else we got? Do we have any other questions? Anybody got any more questions? Let me look. I'm scrolling through the comments. Got a couple of you guys still on here. Trying to go back to bootiest superhero ever. You guys remember Blank Man? Damon Wayans tried to be a superhero where like his PJs got dipped in some like bulletproof thing, and so suddenly he was a superhero. He is terrible. Also, Steel, not Henry Irons, because Henry Irons in the DC universe is great. I'm talking about Shaquille O'Neal's Steel. That was a terrible superhero. Pretty much anybody from the 90s, other than Superman or Batman, was terrible. Well, I guess we did get like the X-Men. And Hugh Jackman's amazing. Let's see here. David wants to know, do we know the plot of Doctor Strange 2? No, we don't. Nobody knows the plot. They haven't even said they're greenlighting it yet, I think. I think they've said they might release a Doctor Strange 2. I think Kevin Feige said it's on the slate, but it hasn't officially been put in the release schedule. So I'm going to say the plot of Doctor Strange 2 is that I don't even know, because I have no idea what's going to happen at the end of Avengers. I don't know. So there you go. All right. Well, we've been doing this for about an hour. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about? All right, we'll tell you what. I have a recommendation. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. If you guys have any more questions you want, or if you have any more comments, feel free to hop into the comments, and I will check them out. So let's see. David, yes, I also enjoyed Doctor Strange. I really liked Cumberbatch a lot. I thought he nailed it as Strange. The funny thing is I actually liked Doctor Strange much more in Thor Ragnarok and Avengers 3 than I liked him in his own movie. I thought the movie was good, but I thought they really held him back as far as his powers. And I thought in Avengers, they really turned him they really just let him loose with his powers. And then in Thor Ragnarok, they actually made him a wizard. You know, he's got his cool gloves and he's refilling Thor's beer. And I don't know. I liked him a lot more in his next appearances versus his own movie. But I am looking forward to a Doctor Strange too. So we'll see what happens. All right. So real quick before we get out of here, I do have a recommendation. Me and my wife, we this weekend we have kids, and so we had a few cocktails, and we're like, let's watch something funny. And so we rented Cock Blockers, and actually it's called Blockers. They just have a big rooster. The movie was originally called Cock Blockers, but they couldn't put it on a poster. So if you have not seen this movie, basically the premise is three parents, their kids, they got three daughters, and the three daughters make a pact that they're gonna all lose their virginity on prom night. And so because Apple devices are so great, and and anything you type in a message will show up on your computer and your iPad or anything else you go, the parents stumble across their iMessaging and they figure out that they're going to have the sex pact. So they decide that they're going to stop them from having a sex pact. They're going to ruin their prom, and they're going to stop them from making the worst decisions of their life. And so the whole movie's about that, and it is literally one of the funniest movies I think I've seen in a long, long time. I'm sad I only rented it. I wish I would have bought it. It is. I don't even want to talk about the things that are in it because I don't want to ruin them for you. It is one of the funniest movies I've seen. And not only that, it has a surprisingly a lot of heart. There are parts in this movie that may actually make you cry. It's a really good movie with characters that you give a shit about and you care about the ending. But it makes you happy. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. Cock Blockers, amazing comedy. Definitely not something to watch around the kids if the title did not give it away. But I highly recommend you check out Cock Blockers. Great movie. It's right now. You can only rent it, but probably be on streaming devices or HBO or something here real soon. But check it out, Cock Blockers. Really good movie. And finally, let's see here. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to give out some show information. This is your last chance. If you got anything you want to ask me, now's the time. But since it seems like I have no viewers, everybody left because the Q&A was over, so I guess that's my cue. If you guys are watching this after the fact, because it is going to be on Facebook and it's also going to be up on YouTube, if you have any questions or comments, throw them in below, man. I am always on, and I'm always down to answer anything. I would like to thank everybody who did join me. I'm going to give you guys all a shout out by name, especially everybody who commented. David, Heather, Rachel, Holly, Brian, Lori, Josh. Who else? Anybody else? Angela. All you guys, thank you for joining me tonight. It's always nice when you have an audience, and I love that you guys showed up and said hello. popped in, watched for even just a minute, and left some questions. You guys are the best. Love you guys. This is why, honestly, this is why me and Ryan continue to do this show every single week. And this was actually a lot of fun. So I think maybe we'll have to do this more. Let me know what you guys thought of the live show. If this is something you'd like to see us do more of, we can definitely do more of it. But anyway, if you'd like to find us anywhere else, we're always on Facebook, our Facebook page. Obviously, where you're watching this, you can hit like, subscribe. We're also on our YouTube page, Geek Dad Report. Even if you only watch it on Facebook, if you guys could go over there and just subscribe, it helps us tremendously, helps new people find us. We're on iTunes, the Geek Dad Report. We're on Podhell Media, where we don't have a website because that's so like 1995. But those are pretty much everywhere you can find us. And like I said, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. You guys are amazing. And let me know if you guys want me to do this again. I'll definitely do it. If you want to find us on Twitter, Geek Dad Report on Twitter. I am Brian West 53 on Twitter. You can hit me up and we can always talk. But anyway, I'll ask every week. We say the same thing. If you guys give us a review on iTunes, 5-star would be great. Or at least tell 5 people. Tell a couple people. If you're ever listening to us and you're just chuckling and you're like, oh my God, these guys are hilarious, or oh my God, these guys are crazy, insane, but they make me laugh. Just if somebody next to you says, what are you laughing at? Just say, Geek Dad Report. These guys make me laugh and they're so funny. And just tell them to give us a watch. Oh, I'm getting all the hearts. Love the hearts. Whoever's giving me the hearts, I can't see who's doing it. Thank you. I love you too. That's what we do with our kids. Get those. I think it's my wife. I think she's giving me all the hearts. Babe, I love you too. And if you're not my wife, well, I still love you. Just not as much as I love my wife. But anyway, like I said, tell your friends, tell everybody, help us grow the network, help us, reach a bigger audience. But you guys will always be our favorite. So until next time, everybody, thank you for joining me. And let's check one more time. Oh, hang on. There we go. Patrick's on. Thornton. Oh my God. It was Holly. Holly, thank you for all the hearts. And Patrick, thank you for joining the last second. So you get a thumbs up. You gave me a thumbs up. You get a thumbs up as well. Thornton. Friend. Went to high school with him. Doesn't even like nerd stuff, but he joined up because that's how much he cares about me. Anyway. All right, guys. I've rambled on long enough. Thank you for joining. Remember everything I said. This will be up later. If you missed anything, you can find my answers to all your questions later. And all right, everybody, until next time, stay awesome. And Stanley, this one's for you, buddy. Excelsior. Later.